Green interwebs, it's Jackie K, and before we begin this episode proper, you may notice some things like the length, and as we go into commentary, very terrible audio balance. I have to apologize for that. Ironically, I tried to set up the audio balance before the stream this time, but of course I did a test in the worst area possible, where the music is the quietest possible. So when I get into areas where it's actually loud, which is literally all of Mountain Battle, which is literally this entire video, it's blasting and my commentary kind of gets faded out. Unfortunately, there's not too much I can do about that, because one is live stream and I don't record an audio backup. Best I can do is just cut it out entirely and recommend in post. So for a good chunk of it, I just speed it up, turn off the audio completely, and I'm going to add post commentary there. There's some sections I had to leave as is, because I feel the moments are important, either because of the boss fight, a major battle, or like what's coming up, a battle that adds a little bit of lore to the party that I didn't feel good just skipping out completely. So, sorry in advance, hopefully it's bearable. If not, the 18th episode should be all good. It should be back to quote-unquote normal after this. Like here, where my newest addition to the Colosseum family is going to have a bit of a moment. One more battle, like, at least get 2 battles before going to the Pokemon Center. Oh! Constant? Are Lieutenant Constant's evolving already? I don't know, I feel like I already have Constant. But I know it, I'm not. Ampharos? You okay, buddy? It's probably just the lighting, but something feels a little off about you. What is with everyone getting twisted? There's something off about Ampharos' eyes in this. Like, it's been so long since I've last played Colosseum. I don't know if it's the actual GameCube game or some magic of my Magic GameCube not being up to snuff. I would probably gotta stop using this thing eventually, because it definitely felt like it was about to explode there. Apparently, Ampharos doesn't exist. Because I was hoping I could at least, like, turn it around and get a better look at it. This is what happens when you use an Ampharos too many times in a row. The game gets mad and it becomes this. I mean, I gotta Google this now, because now it's bothering me. Ampharos in Colosseum. Well, I found a model of it in Pokemon Stadium, and it kind of looks a bit more... It kind of looks like this cursed Ampharos that we have on screen, assuming that's actually Colosseum. Problem is just that I can't seem to find Twister. And it's been forever since I've actually used Cosmic Power. Is that a boost move or... Oh, defense is special defense. So... Lieutenant Content name pending, you are purely a wall at this point. I think it's just that the pupil looks small and it's just hard to see on this screen. I think it was like the pupil is just all the way back in the corner. Yeah, you can see it now. all I could see for a while was just a black void. So maybe we don't have a cursed GameCube. Maybe it's just a game. So yeah, a little bit of a spoiler for things coming up ahead in the future, but I decided that we're gonna name this Ampharos Void Cotton the next time I can get to a name reader, in honor of the void-like look that it has in its eyes. Plus, void just kind of sounds like something you would suffer through while you're being toxic and defense stalled to your demise. It feels like it's fitting on multiple levels, so it was meant to be. As for what to talk about for the rest of these battles, I'll admit I got nothing planned up, so we're all just gonna wing this together. Surely something exciting will come up sometime soon. Though, I don't know the last time I properly mentioned it, but shout out to Charmeleon. I mean, it's gonna be a little, like, over-redundant with just how Charizard is. It's weird, like, back in the day, Charizard was probably one of my more favorite Pokemon of the first generation, but then again, who doesn't love Charizard? And that might have been part of the reason why I don't hate Charizard, but it doesn't excite me as much as it used to. Kind of feels a little overrated. It's probably the best way to word it. Because I like the Pokemon, but there's so many others I love. And it's just so easy. It's gotten to a point where it's just so easy to make a quick joke about it. But I bring all this up because, oh boy, the RNG just favored Ruby King so well when it comes to actually getting a good move pool. And I think that alone is going to make him a keeper on the team for a while. Also, hello, Giant Slap Hand Lugia. Fancy seeing you here. I think you're one game too early. Yeah, fights like this one were a big concept behind wanting to keep the live commentary in, because I don't even remember anymore because it's been so long since I streamed this particular part of the game. But I assumed that, like, I was getting excited, we'll call it, over finding another legendary Pokemon on a random trainer, but we got this thing burned. We have sleep options if we want. I mean, I kind of bit myself in the butt by burning it, but if it keeps using physical moves like that, then it's might as well be asleep. So I think we'll be just fine. Since I'm speaking from post commentary already, there's a thought in my mind about a critique, for lack of a better way to describe it, I've had with going for the Colosseum randomizer, and why at least from a gameplay standpoint, randomizing Colosseum may have its flaws. The big one is, like, yeah, it's real exciting to have all these new Pokemon out on the field, never knowing when you're gonna come across a super tough legendary. Oh, that's fun and dandy. Especially because I get to use a lot of new Pokemon Colosseum that I would normally never have the opportunity to use because they normally wouldn't exist in this game. I might have mentioned it in live here and there, but just properly stated, addressed it, etc. Colosseum, randomizing the move pools for Colosseum kind of emphasizes one of the flaws, I guess, for like a better way to describe it, of the game, where because you start so high in level, and being an early generation game already narrows down the move pool that Pokemon can learn as is, because Pokemon learn much more of a wider variety of moves in the most recent generations compared to like the third generation to ever exist in this 30 plus years franchise. You find out very quickly it takes a long time to learn new moves, and taking a long time to learn new moves means if the Pokemon you catch doesn't have an amazing move pool to start out with, it's practically useless because it takes so long to level up, and the time frame in between new moves is so far in because you're past the early stages of the Pokemon, like the early levels and all that. So I definitely have been finding myself struggling throughout this adventure to actually get a good move pool on the Pokemon. If you couldn't tell for how few of my Pokemon have freaking stabs. Oh yeah, that's another thing. TMs are so scarce in Colosseum that only makes it even harder to get freaking same type attack bonus on Pokemon of all things, let alone having a wide variety of move pool. And it doesn't help when the only moves you learn, it takes like 10 levels to learn a new move and you get frickin' Sweet Scent. Thankfully, Ruby King's already a champ. And again, tying back into just how much I feel like I'm gonna love Ruby King throughout this adventure, just start, like I said, you need to have an excellent move pool to start out with in order to really be useful. Unless I find later on in the adventure we really start climbing up in levels, start learning moves quickly. Also, I've been complaining about the TMs a lot, but I can tell you from what I've recorded already, we're not too far away from that town. If you played enough Pokemon games, you know what I mean by that town. That has all the TMs that you can buy. They're stupid expensive, but they have all the good moves in that town. And I think that alone will help at least let me get the same type of attack bonus on some Pokemon on my party that really need it. Only downside is another critique that I mentioned about Colosseum earlier on. Money is scarce. You practically have to grind in order to have enough money to get healing items as is in this game. Imagine adding expensive TMs on top of that. Anyways, that rambling took a bit longer to mention. I didn't get to even go into the details of Slapcan Lugia, where that joke comes from. All I have time to say is shoutouts to Pokemon Go Radio, and now back to the live stuff. Honestly, with us randomizing and all that, we don't really know what we're going up against. After all the persuading I did, I still can't get you to hand it over. What happens to stubborn oafs and don't do what I say. Man, that's like one of the high points of this game. Just freaking punches him right in the gut. I think the worst part is this Vander gets in position. And, I mean, speaking of Vander, just getting in position to get walked. Look at it, the pose is just making laying down and all that. This game's great. Now for the years. Say that. I mean, unless you somehow manage to salvage your Earthquake Protect spam strategy from Vanilla Colosseum, I don't think you're gonna be a problem at all. Oh, I gotta learn when to shut up and not tempt fate. As I was saying in the live commentary, in Vanilla Colosseum, he builds his entire team around the Earthquake Protect combo, where like Protect protects you from everything, and Earthquake's a powerful move that's major drawback, usually is the fact that it can hit an ally. I mean, I guess it's not a total cakewalk when you got like frickin' punching Typhlosions in the lead. But at least, even though this is going to be a challenge in its own right, at least it's not Earthquake and Protect. At least until we get to the Shadow Pokemon. I'll admit, it's a little hard to be intimidated when one of your opponent's move is present though. I guess while we're waiting together to get to the Shadow Pokemon, I think it's also worth noting, it's around this point where it starts getting pretty suspicious. Especially while I'm watching this in post, I'm strongly starting to suspect that the catch rate in Colosseum isn't tied to the Pokemon itself. Cause spoilers, in Vanilla Colosseum, his Shadow Pokemon would be an Entei, a legendary Pokemon, aka low catch rate. And while I won't spoil what the Shadow Pokemon is, I will say it is not an Entei. But you wouldn't guess that from how many times it breaks out of the freaking Pokeball. So between the easy catching of Suicune super early on in the game, this fight, and the next boss fight we have going forward, I'm starting to suspect the catch rate for Pokemon in Pokemon Colosseum isn't tied to their species like it is in the main series games. Yeah, I'm just vibing to that music video still, and I really wish I could have done more music stuff. I only was able to snuck a couple battles in during work, and then like I tried to go for a walk with Pokemon Go, and the cell reception at the park was terrible that day for whatever reason, and I couldn't even like get the game to run. So, I mean, I walked a little bit, but I wasn't able to play while I walked at all, and that's just sad and unfortunate. And by the time I got home, I felt so under the weather that I just had to take a nap. And by the time I took a nap, had dinner and all that, the VU's Day event was over, and I couldn't actually do the cup. Oh, I actually just realized that we were at the Shadow Pokemon. I was just about to sledge bomb and just like, ooh, how convenient! Something that's weak to my fire list. For the sake of making the snagging easier, it might actually be worth reviving Dream Gator in case sneaking for it. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to do that yet. I think I can get away with just getting our head in, so... I have to reuse a trophy before. But I think the funny thing, I think this is a Shadow Pokemon that's originally in Vanilla Colosseum. The only thing is that it's usually much later into the game. To the point where like your team's not like fully established and you don't know what you're doing, but like Tropius kind of like outgrows its usefulness. Because like it is a Pokemon that doesn't evolve. So like it starts out really strong, but by the time like you get by late game where you would get it anyways, you wouldn't really get to do anything with it. Just to be on the safe side, I don't know if I outspeed things, so I'm gonna have to use it to revive it. And continue to whittle very slowly. Yeah. I'm wondering if I should have just like revived and then healed. They were wasteful turns, but Medichance poison, so it's gonna take care of itself eventually. Whatever the case, we can make this work. We're gonna be in a 2-in-1 scenario very soon, and I won't have to worry about... Okay, good. I just had to do a fact check on myself, because I was just thinking, wait, can I spore it? Grass doesn't work against... Spore doesn't work against grass types, but then I remembered that this is Gen 3, so that wasn't established yet. We are well in the clear. Pardon the pun, but this Tropius is free pickings from here. Spore... I'm gonna just heal up just in case it goes first. Just so I don't have to risk, like, wasting another revive. We really lucked out getting Spore so early on in the game, because... Imagine, like, juggling, like, surviving the onslaught of this Shadow Pokemon while we're trying to throw Pokeballs at it. That would have been interesting. I think for the sake of everything going on, I'm gonna try to throw a Premier Ball at it. Full health. Just to see what happens. Let me... Twister will probably do a little bit more now that both of them are gone, so let me just see how this starts. Who knows, we might get lucky and not even get to see how much more Twister does. I mean, one could be hopeful. I mean, not too much more. I'm willing to play the long game. Anyone who's not willing to play the long game has already gone somewhere else well by now. I mean, this should do nothing. Grass and flying. Actually, because so little is not worth doing it several. Ooh! Guessing that I was playing the long game. I think even if it crits, don't have to worry about that yet. And you know what, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna try that Premier Ball again. And go for a Twister, just in case it breaks out. I mean, it broke out so easily the first time, but surely that won't happen again, because it's not like this thing is... Normally, something can't catch it in an ordinary ball. Alright. Twister should get into the range Good thing I took the time to actually think of if it would still be able to survive if written. Wow, this is rather fortunate timing from the party. Smart seem to be the problem. Not sleep, but what if it actually doesn't break out this time and I can't get into the miracle? When will we find out? Not even go for the chance. Hey, at least now we got all the time in the world to try to get this thing with the miracle if I really want to. I mean, like, I'm not gonna get something more. One more time. If it doesn't work this time, then it was not meant to be. Where's my premiere ball? To take it. I understand that you don't want your baseball before you go to bed. But really, nah. So we should be good now. This is crime catching condition. I mean, as you can see, it's not the easiest thing to catch in the world, but it's not like legendary target catch. At least it shouldn't be. I think we can start throwing a great ball then now. Okay, now you feel so confident. Yeah, I'm not gonna do. I was gonna say I'm not even gonna do the Pokemon trick, but I was more thinking if I wanted to like heal with for alligator or heal with the content. Setting up with the content, Luriasa is actually going to be an issue. Alright, asleep, right health, great ball. This should do the trick. Come on, baby, give me the triple. A triple shake and then click the control. You're actually going to, you little butt. You're actually going to shoot. Forgot about the Shadow Rush recoil. You little butt, you're actually going to make me use an Ultra Ball. I mean, I'll wait until it's asleep. Just so I don't have to worry about wasting it, but if this doesn't catch it, we're busting out the Ultra Balls. Because that Shadow Rush recoil is only going to last it so long. And it seems to be waking up relatively quickly, so of course now it gets caught on the freaking Great Ball. I'll only like put it to sleep 5 times, and I mean sure I get no air balls for half those times, but still it definitely making a lot RNG making a liar out of all my Pokemon catching strategies. Anyways, we beat the boss. Oscar, we are wholly out of class against him. Yeah, just go chase him, like, I'm pulling out for now. You go, slam the hell out there. know, you're going on a whole monologue about that foreshadowing Mount Battle for training with your dial. Ooh, I forgot he just eats himself out there. Okay. I will defend the use of Yeet a lot, but I'll admit that's probably the worst use of Yeet I had, because he just freaking Super Saiyan jumped out of there. There was no tossing involved in that Yeet, but it has Yeet energy, is what I'm trying to say. Alright. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get punched flat in the gut by someone who probably works out at the gym 25 hours a day either. But all's well that ends well. So that explains a lot. I think I know exactly why they attacked. This is the time flip. I happened to find it while I was on my training truck. It said that it can summon Sylvie, but just once. There must be something about this Bright Stone. And they honestly don't want Sylvie anywhere near Shadow Pokemon. Hey! We get a free purification item. Time Flute. As he says, it's a one-time use, and if we take it to... If we take a Shadow Pokemon there with the Time Flute, it can instantly be purified no matter how full the Shadow gauge is. So... this Tropius that we caught, if I really wanted to use it right away, I just throw it onto my team, walk back over to... I'm gonna feel like such a dunce when I actually remember the name of my Pokemon. Agate Village. We can purify it right away without spending any time with it if we want. Personally, I like to save these for legendaries, because I'm convinced that, like, Suicune kind of proved me wrong, but Suicune's been kind of proving me wrong with a lot of things. But I like to save them for legendaries because I feel like they're the hardest, take the longest, most time to actually purify. And I save them specifically for that, so like... I would either save the time flutes for the very end when you're like trying to purify Pokemon for 100%, or for a Pokemon that looks really powerful that you really want to use on the team. Did I come here for... Yeah, Mount Battle. If you thought the trek up to Dakum was a bit of a slog, oh boy. I can't wait to welcome you to Mount Battle, is what I would say if I had any interest in doing Mount Battle whatsoever. I'm kind of curious. It looks like TMs aren't affected by Randomizer because anyone can learn it. I think this is the one that we got from the TM case. I'm surprised Scout can't learn it though. That's the case. So, unfortunately, it seems yet again we're gonna be in a scenario where we can't actually do any thing of use. And anyways, this is a coupon exchange thing. We're probably not gonna spend enough time Mount Battle to actually get anything, so I can just show you what we get. I think that's Psychic. That's either Ice Beam or... yeah, that's Ice Beam. Thunderbolt. Fire. Flamethrower. And Double Team. I'm surprised I actually have all those by memory. And then you got like all the specialized berries. A lot of these are battle items because what they expect you to do with Pokémon Colosseum is to have it as like a complement to your GBA game. Slash do the whole battle mode that's within it. And you would also earn the Poke Coupons through the battle mode of the game instead of just the story mode here. And that's how you really grind up the Poke Coupons. Alternatively, like if you want to do the Mount Battle Challenge, you can also do it with your Game Boy Advance team. And as for right now, I think I'm going to deposit the Time Flute and... I just want to get this Tropius out here. We still had Will-O-Wisp, but I was actually like pretty diligent with keeping it asleep that Pretty sure that's the only thing that we've seen from it, so I have no idea what it has. But because we just got it from a boss, it's probably one of the more powerful Shadow Pokemon we have at the moment. So I'm willing to keep it around. Right, you can also drop this off in the PC. Now, the big question is, do I want to do anything for Mount before ending off the stream? Because I have noticed that we're at an hour and a half already. And to be fair, this part of the VOD I probably would cut up and edit anyways, because I actually forget exactly where we're supposed to go next. So, and the game really implies to use your time flute, but I know you don't have to use the time flute, so I was stumbling around trying to remember exactly what to do next, and I picked up a few phone numbers along the way, which will be relevant later on in the adventure, so I couldn't just cut that out. So I'll probably just jump around between everyone whose phone number I picked up. Oh, and we also got the cologne case, so we can finally make use out of that mechanic. As the NPC is explaining, cologne cases are pretty much like the happiness massages as a portable, buyable item. Especially useful for Shadow Pokemon. Cause every time you use one, the Shadow gauge will go down a little. There's 3 tiers, Joy, Excite, and Vivid. Each one being more effective than the last. So the cost does actually mean something. However, depending on the Pokemon you're using on, it may not feel that effective, because like all methods of lowering the Shadow gauge in this game, certain ones will be more effective depending on the Pokemon's nature, as I'll be demonstrating shortly. This wouldn't be a terrible way to purify Shadow Pokemon in Colosseum if it wasn't for the fact that it feels like money is so scarce in the game already, and the incense are fairly expensive, but it is an alternative to help purify a Pokemon if you so please, especially when it's like almost purified and you just don't feel like going in another battle or running around town just to finally be able to unlock the final door to his heart. So first off, I did some googling, and this Shadow Pokemon has a bashful nature, so this should be a lot more effective. It would help if I actually showcase how close it is to being purified before I use the cologne scent, so we can have a better idea of how effective it is after we use the cologne scent. Just gotta wait for the vibrations on the GameCube controller. Door opened up a lot. Let's see just how much. Yeah, that was about enough to actually bump it down a bar and actually teach another move, so it's kind of not, it's not the most cost-effective way to purify, but if you have a lot of money to burn, it's an option. I think another nifty thing about this is, I believe you can use these cologne cases in battle as well, but I'll let you know if I can think of a reason later. But off the top of my head, I'm just thinking like, if that's the case, why don't you just call it? Okay, leaving this in because in post I realized the solution to where I had to go next was here all along. In case you blinked and missed it, let me point out what I overlooked, our next plot point. In the meantime, enjoy mostly pointless wandering, but not completely because I showcase a few things in the mix. For example, this shop now finally stocks new types of Pokeballs. I forget if Ultra Balls are new, but the Ness and Timer Ball definitely are. They're fairly expensive, but in my opinion, well worth it if you can find the right situation to use it on. The only one I wouldn't really recommend is the Ness Ball because we're not going to find any real low level Pokemon for a very long time. That Remoraid was probably our best shot to actually use the Ness Ball, and I don't recall us actually getting it before that point. I personally am a big fan of Timer Ball in this game, but that's kind of a mix of personal superstition that I have not been able to confirm on the internet if it's true or not. I never really hear anyone talk about if when snagging shadow Pokemon in this game, if the amount of turns you have to wait for the timer ball to reach its full usefulness depends on when the Pokemon hits the field or when the battle starts. I always treat it from the concept of the timer ball starts counting down effectiveness the moment the battle starts, so I usually find them especially useful for boss fights for that exact reason. Also, we got Duking's number, which I'm sure will be necessary to progress the plot later on. In the meantime, enjoy more False Hope that I have to leave in because technically stuff happens in the clip that will be relevant for later. This one especially. I think now we'll be able... Here we go. I think we're on to something. Hopefully that's the last time we get this running gag. It should be, because this should be the last time we ever have to come here. You all are still here. I thought they got like a new... I thought they like barred up a new criminal. And that new criminal has the key to actually getting into the next area. Well, I mean, we're at least getting our phone number from... At least we're giving everyone our phone number, so surely we'll end up getting a call with our next lead. We just gotta figure out how to trigger the phone call. Wait a minute. Was that mystery lab there before? I definitely don't remember any sort of... I know exactly where this is because of XD, but I definitely don't remember any dialogue triggering it. That said, there's that email that we need. Now, who sent it to us out of all the phone numbers that we picked up in like a 2-second time frame? I was like 2 seconds too early. Fantastic. But hey, progress is progress. Now we can go back to the cells. Hopefully not running that running gag again because they just... So yeah, I may have jumped the gun a little early, but I did need to talk to the officer and get his phone number in order to trigger this scene where they've captured some new criminals. Because the criminals that are now in jail are going to be our key into getting into the next destination. You may remember a while back we got a key that allows us to get into these cells. We're going to go straight to the source to get the info, the details we need to find where Cypher is hiding now. By checking up on a couple new inmates. As soon as I figure out how to open doors. Door is locked. Door no lock. Door go bye-bye. I don't know how that logic works. Well, technically Colosseum's a futuristic game, so we're gonna assume that it's future magic of why the door slides down like that. So this lady over here, these two were some of the criminals that were hanging out by that abandoned building a while back. One of them actually has the key to that elevator that's in that pyrite building. So let's pay no mind that her friend is staring directly at us as we're about to commit this act. But let's just take that key while she's sleeping. I'm sure nobody will notice, especially not the lady that's just staring right at me and I'm talking to her right at this very particular second. Ah well, if the game's gonna let us have it, then why complain about the game letting us have it? With that, I think I'm gonna end off the episode here. I technically do a little bit more to progress the plot on stream, but since I didn't trigger any important scenes, I think it's easy enough to redo, even though I already saved. So we'll be redoing that in the next episode. Tune in to see what wild wacky adventures that Not Wes and Not Rui get themselves into in this whole new land, the whole new world. Where does that elevator take? Nobody